Number 12, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Labour. What steps, if any, are being taken to protect working New Zealanders from asbestos or products with asbestos in them?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
Mr Speaker, we're taking the issue of asbestos seriously, particularly in the Christchurch rebuild. WorkSafe's assessment inspectorate team in Canterbury has more than doubled since the beginning of this year. In the last 4 years, inspectors in Canterbury have completed more than 2,000 proactive assessments in construction, focusing on key issues like asbestos, and have issued more than 1,000 enforcement notices. WorkSafe also provides guidance on the handling of asbestos and has been running seminars in Canterbury which have been attended by more than 1,350 workers and contractors. We're also, of course, in the process of strengthening the regulatory regime on asbestos as part of the Working Safer reform package.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Is he aware that a product, a 125NB150 ring gasket, an example of which I hold in my hand, which sits between the flanges and pipe connections and which is intended to be drilled, is available for sale across the counter, and this gasket contains no warning that it contains asbestos, in this case chrysotile or white asbestos?
Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
Speaker, I'm not aware of the precise matter that the member raises. I certainly will look into it, given that he's raised it. I think the member alludes to the broader issue of a ban on asbestos or asbestos-related products, and certainly I think that's not a matter I have specific responsibility for, but I think I can tell the member that MFE is doing an inventory of all imports and exports of products in this area that I think can foreseeably help us understand this matter better and form a policy position on that issue.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
In view of the harmful effects of asbestos, in particular as the cause of mesothelioma in thousands of workers in New Zealand over the last few decades, does he accept that this is a substance that needs tighter control, and will he take immediate steps to tighten controls?
Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
Well, of course, we have a regulatory regime that is adequate, but as I said in the primary answer, we are also consulting right at the moment till the 1st of August on, I think what would be fair to say is a more stringent regime. And I think that will certainly be helpful. Broadly speaking, it is an adoption of the Australian approach and effectively one of preventing all work with asbestos other than where there are specified exemptions that do allow work. As I say, we're consulting on that right now.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
In light of that answer, or perhaps notwithstanding it, as it is International Mesothelioma Day tomorrow, will he take the opportunity to take meaningful steps to protect workers who would otherwise be exposed to products like the 125NB150 ring gasket, such as encouraging his colleague, the Minister of Customs, to prohibit the import of it under Section 54 of the Customs and Excise Act 1996?
Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
As I've already made clear, the Ministry for the Environment is currently conducting an inventory to inform that issue. But of course, be very clear, even were a ban on asbestos to occur, we would still be in the position of having many decades of asbestos products and installations in homes and the like. I think we can say that the government takes these issues seriously. That's why we've beefed up the inspectorate. That's why we're doing much more in education, assessments and enforcement. That's why we have an interagency officials group working on all of these issues. Why very recently we've set up an occupational health advisory group to advise on strategies for the board, and we're strengthening the regulatory regime.
Supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, does he accept that New Zealand is now out of step with other countries when it comes to a complete ban on the importation of asbestos-containing products? And will he support a similar ban here in New Zealand, especially given the epidemic of asbestos-related disease we are facing from the unnecessary exposure to asbestos in the Canterbury rebuild?
Speaker.
Honourable Simon Bridges.
Firstly, just acknowledge what may be one of the member's last questions and her sticking up for workers in this Parliament, better than some of her colleagues, I might say. I don't accept her question, though. I think obviously this is a complex matter that has a range of policies applied all over the world. I think we certainly have a sufficient regime, as I've already said, but as I've also said, we are in all probability moving to a more stringent framework.
A point of order, Andrew Little.
Speaker, I seek leave to table two items. One is a document. The first is a certificate of testing from Capital Environmental Services confirming that this gasket has asbestos in it, and the second is the gasket itself.
I will put the leave. It's for the House to decide. Leave us sought to table both the certificate and the particular product itself. On the basis it may be informative to members of the House, leave us sought to table those two items. Is there any objection? There is none. They can be tabled. That concludes questions for oral answer. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Parole, Extended Supervision Orders Amendment Bill